his coffee. Today's the Friday edition of Real Talk. We're going to have a good time. We, the viewer and listener, you're encouraged to chime in with questions and comments. How you feeling today, Keith?
If truth be known, it's Real Talk with Keith Smith, and we tend to speak the truth, or straight shooting anyway. I hurt my back on a bike ride yesterday, so I'm a little stiff in the back there. But popped a couple of Tylenols, and we'll be on our way. I just looked at this thing. Interesting. Today, we got this little market monitor thing. 117 open houses.
117 open houses.
And
we'll start the show with this here once the cameras go on.
And I'll go and look at my trusty iPhone.
Single digits, if any.
I think it was 6.
Yeah.
But I will find out because I take a picture every show, and I will find out what.
Remember when we thought the open house was going to be completely?
Yeah, that was a thing.
Was going to disappear completely.
Apparently, it didn't. But I think at the time, I've said that, open houses will come back, and there you go, it came back. But let's take a look at this. Let's see.
So he's going to look this time last year how many open houses there were.
I will bet you it's, I'm speaking in circles today, 6. But we shall see as we go along. Had a couple of elected officials and folks ask me to do some numbers.
I saw.
So I have to learn how to say no because
you have to oblige.
That was
you like obliging them.
That was about. Let me see. I got about between 3:30 this morning and 7:30, quarter to 8.
It's a lot of work, but it makes you smarter.
Huh?
It keeps you informed.
Huh? People ask me all the time why I do this show.
Keeps you on your toes.
It makes me better at my job, without a doubt.
Judah Wickower is the director of this Fine and Fair talk show. We can get that intro going, and we're in your hands when you want to count us in, J-Dubs. Keith is currently looking how many open houses were this time last year.
And someday you could probably actually show me a faster way to do this than scrolling through years of stuff.
You time-stamped it.
I did.
117 open houses.
Can you search by timestamp?
Should be able to, yeah.
Oh, really?
117 open houses this weekend, you said?
This weekend, as today, they're showing, this is the 7-day snapshot going back.
And here we go. We'll continue that conversation.
Got it.
Good Friday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you kindly for joining us. It's great to connect with you guys in our studio in downtown Charlottesville. And today's show is all about real estate, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness through financial decision making. Keith Smith, the star of our program, his website, realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. Interestingly, Keith is also a realtor.
Go figure, huh?
He helps people buy and sell homes.
Who knew?
He does a lot of commercial deals. So if you need some help with buying and selling house or a commercial deal, Keith Smith's a good guy to chat with.
Because
today's program is going to be pretty dynamic, I think. And why it's going to be dynamic is we're going to talk data. And today, we're going to take a look to start the program on open houses. And if anyone spends any time...
We spent a lot of time in our pre-production meeting about this, didn't we?
Well, if anyone spends any time on the MLS, and let's cut to the chase, I certainly do. Keith certainly does. You guys will notice that the open house is back, and it's back in full force. Judah Wickower, why don't we welcome Keith Smith to the program? Put it in perspective.
Yeah, I can just put it in numbers. 7 days going back, I'm looking at it right now, there's 117 open houses this weekend. Yours truly is in one of them, by the way, on Sunday, because Mrs. Smith is going up to see the grandbabies. And
he's working.
And she said second string needs to come in. So anyway, this same Friday, back in October of 2022, there were 6. So it jumped 111 open houses between this same 7-day period going back way on this same Friday. Let me double check that. It's exactly the same Friday because I take a picture of this because I haven't figured out how to do it any other way. So I take a picture of it.
That's actually a pretty good way of doing it because it's on your phone.
And then like you said, it timestamps it. There was, so a year ago, this Friday, there were 79 new homes that came on the market. There's 71 now, so that's pretty darn close. There was, look at this, there was 56 went into pending. There's 57. That's pretty darn close. Let's see what price changes were. Price changes a year ago was 60. There was 45. So we've got less price changes. Back on the markets is something new that I've been watching. Would you think that...
I'll put it back on the market in perspective for the viewers and listeners.
So typically what back in the market means is it was under contract and for whatever reason it fell apart, for lack of a better term, and it came back on the market, hence back on the market.
There's other back on the market scenarios.
Yeah, there's other ones, but
Someone lists a home, takes it off the MLS,
and puts it back on.
and puts it back on.
It depends, right? 'Cause
Well, it's back on the market if it's a new agent, isn't it?
it's back on the market. It's a new agent, typically.
Different price?
No, price change is a separate.
And that's not a back on the market, the price change?
That is not back on. That's a price change. So there's
Okay.
an actual.
But it can be a back on the market if they take it off active and wait X amount of days before bringing it back on.
That's exactly right.
What's the window of time?
You know, you would have to ask me that because I will tell you we do very rarely do that.
Oftentimes people do that as a strategy to refreshen the days on market, to make them not seem long. The interesting thing about that is an app like Zillow tracks that.
I think, correct. So when you take, so what you're talking about is when it gets to there's days on market and the cumulative days on market. I believe it's 90 days, but don't quote me to that. Somebody's a lot smarter than me.
Is it 90?
I think it's either 90 or 60. I can't remember. There's a period of time before the cumulative goes to zero. But the bottom line is there were, it's a back on markets for multiple different reasons. So it's interesting. It's interesting. There was more back on markets a year ago. There were 17 a year ago, only 14 now. So it's interesting. Our coming new on the market, we've got less inventory. Not too surprising, but it's not a huge number. It's 8 units different. Back on markets now are a little less by a couple of units than that. Price expired. These are listings that expired. Was 9. Now we've got 18. So you're seeing expired listings jump a little bit. Price changes last year were considerably higher. They were 60 versus 45. So that's telling me the sellers and the market is getting a little bit more balanced. The sellers are getting a little bit more realistic about what the price point is on it. Solds now are 56. They were 68, so we had more solds. Pendings are about flat, 56 and 57 year over year. But the big jump number is the open houses going from a year ago at 6 to 117. I didn't even think about that.
Is a lot.
That's a lot of open houses, right? That's a lot of open houses.
Johnny Ornalis watching the program.
Hey, Johnny, how you doing today? So, we didn't have anything, particular to kick off today, other than I thought that was an interesting stat or number to start with, and I have to do strawberry.
He's about to sneeze.
I'm about to sneeze.
Look at the lights. Look at the lights. Look at the lights.
Yes, sir. I'll look at the lights. There you go.
Is the sneeze going away? That's a broadcaster's trick. I mean,
Yeah, look at that.
Blinded by these lights.
Yeah. I'm blinded by the light.
Blinded by the lights.
That sounds like a 1970s.
Blinded by the light.
I'm trying to remember who actually sung.
Who sings that, Judah
sung
Wickar?
that. Blinded by the light. Manfred Mann. I think it was
Manfred Mann.
It was like this weird one-hit. Manfred Mann and
I
something.
don't think it's Manfred Mann.
I believe it was.
Let's see. I'm looking it up right now. Viewers and listeners.
Manfred
help us
Mann's
out.
Earth Band. Look at that. Look at Smith.
Oh, Keith Smith.
Look at that, huh? I can go home now. My day is done. I've shared useless information, but
It's revved up like a deuce.
Yeah.
Another runner in the night. I always thought it was like wrapped up like a douche. It's revved up
It's
like a
little
douche.
little ears.
I mean, I'm not being involved.
Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to kick that off.
Johnny Ornalis, it's good to see you today. River Hawkins, your partner in El Mexicali.
Saw them yesterday.
Mexicali, excuse me, opening on West Main in the Old World of Beer location. River Hawkins shared the story we wrote this morning and is very excited to help you open this fantastic restaurant.
I bumped into both of them yesterday at the space.
Were they excited?
They were excited. They were working hard. I told them to work harder. I need to get it open. But yeah, no, it's.
What's the estimated opening date?
I don't want to. I'm going to let Johnny tell that story. My role over there is there's a bunch of things that the landlord needs to fix that hasn't been fixed. That I got called in to help facilitate to get it fixed. So we're gonna.
Get it fixed.
We're going to get it fixed.
There you go.
Because that's what we do. We're fixers. We're fixers. We fix problems, and we make magic happen. So, kick off a little bit. I was asked by a couple of viewers and a couple of city council members.
Carly Wagner asked you.
Carly's
Carly's watching the program. John Blair, good morning.
Thank you. But I also was asked concurrently by a couple of city councilors who wish to remain nameless, and that's fine, on what the average versus median sales price for single-family detached in the city of Charlottesville, and Judah, it would be slide number 1, if you don't mind, please. Thank you, buddy. And they wanted to know, going back 8 quarters, basically looking at the trend lines, what it was going back and forth, and it's pretty interesting. We like numbers here. We like looking at this. The end of quarter number 3, 2023. You ready for this number? The average sale price was $722, median $585, but it's about a 23. I've rounded. It's a 23% difference between average versus median. But if you kind of look going backwards. I didn't do the averages, but there's a couple of 20s, 27 would be the highest in quarter 4 of 2022. So the average sales price was 27% higher than the median. But you take a look at the last quarter number 2, was only a 12% difference. So when you talk to smart people like Woody and Dr. Lisa Steravent, they and folks like Carly, they're right. You kind of have to look at these both numbers simultaneously, or at least side by side. So thank you for making me a little bit better at this, because the average will include outliers, right? It'll include potential concessions. They both include concessions, but
the average sales price includes high dollar transactions.
The average is everything, right?
Yeah, and the average and the high dollar transactions can really much skew data.
Well, it depends on who you talk to, right? Certain economists love median because it drops out, and it automatically drops out the high and the low, right?
Yeah, the anomalies.
But one should look at both, and I've been not so much schooled on it, but what's been told to me about that and how folks think we should be looking at this, they're right? We need to look at both. But look, man, same quarter in 2021, the average was at 519, and now it's 712.
You got
722.
You got this on screen, right, Judah? Okay,
Thank you. 722 in quarter number 3. But the two things that I want to look at this, and when we're trying to help clients and so forth and so on, it's the trend is the trend. The 2 trend lines that I've dropped in are pretty parallel, pretty much going upwards.
Got a couple people asking. These are not dollars. No. These are hundreds of thousands of dollars. So one piece of feedback may be next to the number, just to include a big capital K.
Okay, cool. We can do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A few folks have said, how is this so low? It's $722,000.
Yeah. So thank you.
$722,000.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
thank you.
mean,
look, we're getting better at this.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah. So we will do that. I will put K's next to it. Now I have to work even harder. I have to type a K. I got to type a K.
A home's not selling for $722.
Yeah. Well, I don't think in any generation it is. So
right. Just seeing it on the feed.
But these are in hundreds of thousands of dollars, in it. But thank you. I'll put a K next to it, or I'll put a note somewhere in here that
I think just a K would be
yeah.
fine.
Okay. Cool.
722,000 in Q3 2023.
Got single family detached, no new construction, which the city doesn't have very much new construction anyway in it. But it's
That is massive appreciation.
yeah. So it's constantly, it's the time to sell, it's the time to buy. We talk about this all the time. That trajectory is going to go up. We'll see what fourth quarter does, right? It might drop down. One of the reasons I included quarter number 4.
I'm glad you did.
In 2021 and 2022 is to kind of take a look at what quarter number 4 might have done and what one can project going out forward. So there was, if you take a look at quarter 3 21 versus quarter 4 21, there was a bit of a drop, right? In 2021, there wasn't in a 2022. It wasn't a huge increase, but there was an increase in it. So I think you're either going to see a flat line, but man, from just the beginning of this year, right? Quarter number 1, and I triple checked these numbers this morning, and please, folks, go ahead and correct me if I'm wrong. City of Charlottesville, quarter number 1, average was 495. Average at the end of quarter number 3 was 722. Huge jump. Now I ran out of time. I wanted to do percentages of cash. You've got to pull everything apart and create all these little cards with numbers on them, and
I'm impressed,
create a spreadsheet, and then let the spreadsheet create the graph, and then you got to import it from the graph into the PowerPoint, because that's how I'm not smart enough to do it in a spreadsheet graph, so I'm familiar with PowerPoint. So
Keith Smith dropping dimes, guys. Yes Realty
Dimes.
Partners. Keith Smith, Yes Realty Partners. If you need a trusted advisor.
117 open houses.
Daniel,
Question Anybody going out to an open house this weekend?
Daniel Pettit, the
Hey,
Mustache Dan Pettit, one of the finest, most fundamentally sound forehands and backhands on tennis courts throughout Central Virginia. Dan Pettit. He says, "Do you have the data for Albemarle County? This is fantastic."
No. It'll take me hours to go ahead and do it. I did this because a bunch of folks were asking for it on the city of Charlottesville, and
Grayson
I
says,
did it.
"Would Albemarle County be higher?"
I think Albemarle County's number will be higher. I mean, we did a show a couple of
3 or 4 shows ago.
3 or 4 shows ago, where we went ahead and broke down Albemarle County and the overall car footprint. I just didn't do it this far back in quarters, so we could dig that up and post it in the Facebook page. I'll go ahead and take a look at that real quick so I can give Carly some data on
Carly
that.
watching the program. We love when Carly watches the show. Very astute, intelligent, and sophisticated viewer and listener. Carly Wagner. Neil Williamson, hello. Dean Russell, hello. Scott Morris, hello. Chad Wood, hello. Bill McChesney, John Snow, Kevin Higgins, Woody Fincham, Ray Cadell, Angie Fink, Nelson Lanza, Mr. DL, Lauren and Keswick, Bob Yarborough, Jesse Rutherford. Love you, Jesse Rutherford. Keith loves you too.
I love you, Jesse.
Catherine Lochner, David Puso, Andre Xavier, real estate investor Seth Liskey, welcome to the program. The Queen of Marketing, MJ Arquette, watching the show. Questions are coming in.
So I do have them. It's going to be super difficult to get them off of the slides and get them to Judith and get them out. But we'll post them either on the Facebook page or on Real Talk with Keith Smith.
Bill McChesney references the listing that went under contract on Lexington Avenue in North Downtown. There was a price reduction, Bill McChesney, on that listing. I believe Lori Woodruff had that listing, and she did do a price reduction, but it did go under contract, so the market spoke. It's interesting, in this game we call real estate, it only takes one buyer.
Yeah.
It only takes one to fall in love with the house and say yes.
So the question is, was the price reduction because it went in a little bit too high with the market?
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
I know the listing he's talking about.
Yeah, and look, so what you're starting to see, and we looked at that, right? We looked at that where, the price changes were actually more a year ago than they are today. So that means the sellers...
That's what's happening.
The sellers are starting to get on a realistic expectation of their appreciation.
Bingo. Where
Right.
this time last year, the sellers were still of the mindset that it was COVID and anything would sell, and they weren't really considering the rising interest rate environment. And now it's been a year since this time last year.
It was more than that. You know, Billy and Jane up the street sold their house for $50,000 off of asking price. I'm going to add $50,000 on top of that $50,000 because that's what I should get for my house. That's not how the market works.
No, that's
right?
not how the market works, and rates have gotten more expensive.
Rates have gotten more expensive. But look, Jerry. I'll just focus on what we have before us, right? Which is the city of Charlottesville, single-family detached. 722. Now, we don't know. I can spend a minute or two and figure out what percentage of those were cash, right? We can do that here real quickly. But it's been, I know at the end of the third quarter, we were a strong 7. 7 and a third, 7 and a quarter, somewhere around there for the 30 year. And we're still at 722 and still at 588, 585. Now, we're flirting with 9. Right, we're kind of floating around 8.5.
Yeah,
8.5 and 9.
Rates.
I think I think you might see us either at or above 9 before the end of the year. So the number is going to be okay. Q4. How did that impact the overall sales price? It impacts volume. There's no doubt about that. But does it impact value? Right, what people. So I think this home that got reduced and all that stuff, I think if you take a look at what it sold and you held on to it and extrapolated it back in time, it increased in value, right? So, Yona's up with grandkids and I'm working all weekend. We're out looking. I got open house to do, multiple houses to show. I won't even have time to get a bike ride in this.
Keeps working.
Yeah, because if you're able to buy now, right? And you've got the cash and you're able to buy, right now is a great time to buy because the market's kind of in this little flux point. You're not seeing 110 open houses tells me that, right? So, this is a great opportunity to buy. Again, location matters. Micro locations matter even more, right? But if you hire somebody who knows what the hell they're doing and is able to give you accurate information and data, and then you're the right location, you may be paying a little bit more in interest right now or a lot more in interest. But if you wait, I mean, my God, if you were thinking about buying in the second quarter of 23 a single-family detached home in Charlottesville, right? You went from 520 median. I'm just going to use median for this conversation.
Put that back on screen if you can't, J-Dubs.
If you would have waited at Q2, say, okay, I'm going to wait to Q3 to buy a house. Your median price went from 529 to 585. Your average price went from 597 to 722. I didn't do the math of the percentage jumps on that real quickly, but you're paying more for a home. I think you're going to see the same number, maybe not the same percentage jump, but you're going to see those trend lines continue to go up in value and the inventory continue to drop.
I 110% agree with the man. Woody Fitchum says it is 90 days when you take a home.
Thank you, Woody.
When you take it off the market and put it back on the market, and you wait 90 days.
You think the realtor would know that?
The DOM resets. So Woody, thank you for that. Clarity right there. One thing I will highlight, I'm on Zillow and I'm on the Realtor app constantly. An app like Zillow is tracking
the total.
An app like Zillow, and when it shows property history, will show that the home was listed 90 days ago for this price. And then it will show that the home was listed now, 90 days later, for the new price. The data out there is getting so sophisticated that the reset of the DOM is not something that can be, I don't know if disguised is the right word, but I'll use disguise for the show. And Kevin Yancey, he says, happy Friday to us, gentlemen.
Yeah, so I'm looking at a slide just to answer the single-family detached Albemarle County sales price. So I'm looking at a slide. I just won't be able to get it to Judah, but I can give you the numbers. Median single-family detached price. This is existing quarter number 1. It was 505. The end of quarter number 3, this is for this year, was 650. So it jumped from 505 to 650 in sales price. We talked about this on the show the other day. It was interesting. The single-family detached new construction number actually went down. It went from 799 in the first quarter and dropped to 765 in that. So the numbers are a little higher to answer the question. So third quarter, these are median, right? So I don't have median and versus average, so I'd have to do that and do some more work to create those slides. But just to put it in perspective, end of third quarter, single-family detached, no new construction in the city of Charlottesville was 585. This is median. In Albemarle County was 650. So that's what?
This is a very good question. I'm going to mess up her last name, so I'm going to call her Jennifer N. I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name. She says, with 117 open houses, at such a high level of open house, do they actually compete against each other?
Yeah, that's a great question.
There's 117 open houses this weekend, viewers and listeners.
That's a great question, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a question for the pro over there, Keith Smith.
Yeah, great. Smith don't have an answer.
And he had great data to start the show. Keith comes very prepared for this program. This time last year, there were 6 open houses over a weekend. Now there's 117. So she wants to know if they compete against each other.
Well, obviously.
They got to be yes.
Yeah, obviously.
Because there's only a certain amount of time.
Yeah, obviously, they compete against one another. I mean, that's just a logical thing. Now, keep in mind, that's 6 jurisdictions, right? Right. So, that's not city of Charlottesville. It's Charlottesville, Albemarle, Havana, Nelson, Greene, and Louisa.
And we can also say it's across different price spectrums.
It is across different price spectrums.
So if someone's looking at a certain price point, which that's how we shop for housing, it will get much more narrow in its offerings, the open house.
Correct. That's exactly right. Hold on a second. Yeah, so it's...
Dan Pettit's looking up how many attached units are open houses this weekend. Thank you, Dan. We would love to know that answer. I will relay it live on air.
I can tell you, I'm looking at it right now. 30 attached.
30 attached open houses.
36 detached. Hold on a second here. Oh, no, this is breaking it down by... I'm going to have to let Dan do it. This is breaking it down by sold volume, so I'm in the wrong spot.
We would love that information. Yeah. Mustache Dan Pettit.
Yeah. I know he likes his
loves attached property.
He loves his attached products.
He's one of the biggest advocates of attached products.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you go back in
affordability.
You go back to affordability. If you go back and look at Albemarle County, because I'm looking at the spreadsheet right now, median single-family sales price for new construction jumped first quarter to third quarter from 452,000 to 483,000. Existing jumped from 325 to 375. So it was only a $50,000 delta difference on existing single family attached in the county of Albemarle, but the attached new construction jumped from 452 to 483. And I will tell you, of the 3 homes I'm showing clients to over this weekend, to Dan's point, every single one of them are in new construction. Every single one of them are under 500,000. Every single one of them are young professional couples. Just happens to be 3 of them. Don't know if that's indicative of anything. But to his volume question, the first quarter, single-family attached existing sold, there was 42 units. Third quarter was 77. The new construction's flat. It ranges, it was 76 in the first quarter, 78. So it kind of stays a little consistent on the volume of units sold. That's because builders control the release of product. Right, on it. The existing market doesn't, right? The market kind of dictates that. But that's a jump between 42 to 77 on between first and third quarter.
Keith Smith, you're prepared today.
Like you said earlier,
Woke up at 3:30 in the morning.
just to do this slide. This is stuff that I've done. I've done before. You okay, brother?
I'm doing great.
There you go.
I'm sensational.
So anyway, that's what 110 new open houses are going to do to the market. We'll find out on Monday, right? Right. Well, Batman and Robin may have.
Oh,
Batman and Robin may have some
We're gonna do
information to share on Monday about a little, how the weekend did, and let's see how many of those 110 open houses go into contract. That'd be a great thing to take a look at. I have to make a note for Batman so he remembers to look at that for Monday. So.
all right. How's Batman from fitting in the suit standpoint? I mean, you've been riding your bike. It's going to be really loose on you, I would imagine.
Oh, what are you talking about?
I mean, you're fitter.
What? No.
You've been doing these 100
So do
kilometer
you know who
rides.
Batman is?
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Your friend Batman. Your friend Batman.
Man, my alter ego? That's a great question. Great question, Smith, for Batman. What open houses went under contract over the weekend?
We got a follow-up question from Jennifer.
Yeah.
Are the open houses as effective as they were before COVID?
That's a great question.
Jennifer, you're making the show better.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a big number, and I'm trying to take a look at what it was like a month ago.
Dan Pettit also wants to know, are you more productive when Yona's gone?
He knows better than that. So on September, this is just a weird number, and you know what? There may be something going on here, but because Jerry, I need you to talk for a minute, please, sir, because I want to take a look at what the amount of open houses were, let's say, a month ago.
Bill McChesney says you're no Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I am not.
I'd say he's better than Bruce Wayne.
No.
Come on.
No, Bill. I love you, brother. You are 1,000%. You are 1,010%.
I will stand up for Bruce over there.
No. I am no Bruce Wayne. That's for sure.
I'm
no Batman either. You put me in spandex, it's not a pretty sight. Trust me.
We have questions coming in. And
Please, I want to take a look at what the open house were too much. It just seems like a large number of open houses.
117?
117 is a big number. I want to take a look at what it was like a few months ago, just as a thing.
Multiple folks.
I'm looking at August. I'm looking at September. They were like 14, 15, 20 open houses. To go from that to 110, I wonder if there's a glitch in this.
I don't think there's a glitch.
Yeah, I literally looked at this as I got in the truck this morning, and I said 117, and I just kept on going for the day.
Ray Cadell's watching. Take a look at that,
Yeah, Ray, do me a favor. Take a dive into that.
Dean Russell,
Are they
do you see the
legitimate?
open house count? Let us know, Dean. Supervisor Price, welcome to the program.
So that to go from low double digits, right? From low singles to low doubles to 117 is a big jump. And I don't know if maybe there was a lot of new construction came in. I didn't pull it apart. But that's a big number. 117 is a big number.
117 is a big number. I can
Oh,
find
yeah,
it.
it's a lot of new construction.
I can find it on my side. On the,
I'm looking at it right now.
there's a boatload of open houses.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it too.
There's new construction. A lot of new construction. in
And
there.
what are you referencing? The stuff that on Purple Floral?
Well, there's all. I'm just. It's.
Purple Floral's got a boatload of new construction.
Yeah, it goes from.
Dan Conquest.
It goes from, the way I'm looking at it goes from low price to high price, right? And I'm looking at it right now. A lot of this is new construction. That makes sense. It looks like there was a big dump of new construction.
Are you talking Purple Floral?
No, I'm all over the place. I'm in Pleasant Green. I'm just going through the whole. Yeah, man. The first 11 pages are new construction. So
It
I
still
think
counts.
open house is open house, yeah, but it's not a traditional open house, right? So I'd have to take a deeper dive into that and actually run the spreadsheet on it. And somebody who's smarter than me that's looking at it could probably do it. I didn't. I just saw the number and went, "Oh my God!" But I'm now on like page 8 or 9. There's 12 pages of these open houses, and a majority of them are new construction. So that makes a lot of sense.
Kevin Yancey says, Kevin likes to play the role of the bear. He says, you didn't answer this on Wednesday's show. What's the take on people walking away from deals and potential purchases due to the increased homeowners insurance coupled with rising rates and prices?
Yeah, I thought, Kevin, I didn't want to answer it. I thought that's how I did it.
Well,
I'm only kidding you. I'm only kidding you, Kevin.
This isn't Florida or California.
Yeah. So I will tell you in our because we just
It's not happening here.
we just looked at it again. And the Kevin's on the other side of the mountain, so I'd have to look for the numbers on the other side of the mountain. But we just took a look at back on the market, which is these are contracts that people walked away from because I think that's the question. Right, that got back on the market. We're actually, pretty much on par what we were this time last year, and the volume really isn't that high. Let me see. We're back on market. Back on market was 14, and this time last year it was 17, same week. So I don't know if you see a lot of that. I think
it's not Florida or California.
Yeah, it's. Well, if he's referring the insurance thing, this would be a great thing to bring Jeremy Rowe in.
That's what he's referring to.
Yeah. So but Jeremy brought this up on the show, and Kevin is not that far off. I don't know if you took a look at what your home insurance.
Oh yeah.
What went up? Mine went up substantially. So I mean, it is impactful, but man, it's just not slowing things down. I can't remember. We had
people need places to live.
That's it, right? So, I'm not sure if this is coming up on the feed, but I did bring in a couple of extra slides, and they're talking about, the low supply and why we actually have a low supply on that. So, Jude, if you have an opportunity, we're looking at the lack of building over time, right? So this is a pretty visual slide that talks about there has been 14 years of below average new construction units built.
It's been since 2008.
Yeah, and we're paying for that now.
And it's going to get worse.
And it's going to get worse.
Yeah. And this area is going to have a population uptick.
So, Jude, if you wouldn't mind flipping through slides 2, 3, and 4, and I'll just talk a little bit about it. The second reason is there's a slide in there that we talk, which is a visual number about the lock-in effect, and 70.7% of mortgage rates are less than 4%. So that's the reason why inventory is low. And then the other one, the last slide, which would be number 4, that we don't talk much about, and we have on the show, is people are staying in their homes, right?
Longer.
So between 2010 and 2022, because they don't have this year's data yet.
Was it 10 years?
9.3 years,
Yeah.
miles. I'm thinking of bike riding.
At one time, it was in the 7 range.
So between 85 and 2009, it was 6.1.
Yeah.
So we've jumped, between 6.1 years to 9. So we've got people staying in their homes longer.
Not enough inventory.
Well, that's the reason we don't have the inventory.
Yeah.
People are staying in their homes longer. The mortgage rates, people are 70% or almost 71% of folks have a 4% or lower.
It's actually 80%.
Yeah, if you look at this chart that the FHFA put together, that's the numbers I'm using, but a 70.7% below has less than 4.
Yeah.
Right? If you add 6, it jumps up, or X5, it jumps up to it, and that we haven't built enough homes in 14 years. Henceforth, the city of Charlottesville.
Thank you, Dan Pettit. Appreciate you watching the program. This has come in about ARMS. Multiple folks have said they're seeing ARMs back on the market, and does that concern Keith? Adjustable rate mortgages. Currently, this is from a data source that I follow.
But the rates aren't very different, right? The ARM rate and the 30-year rate there's not as much of a spread as it used to be back in the day of the time or before the time of great unpleasantness.
And the vetting process is much more stringent.
It's much more stringent. Look, I think, if the seller's side of the equation slows down a little bit, and I do not see that. I really don't. Certain locations will. Woody sent me something from, I think it was Lynchburg or Roanoke, I can't remember, that, there's seller incentives starting to go on out there. So the micro market matters, and certain micro markets you start seeing seller incentives. I would do, instead of a seller incentive, I would do a buy down. That's what I would be doing. I would do a buy down of 1 point or 2 points instead of paying for closing costs. Yeah, I think the concern that people have about ARMs is that the interest rates are going to jump up like they did in 08, 09, 07, that kind of thing. I think actually the rates are going to start going the other way. I don't think you're going to start seeing rates going to 12, 15%, but we also had a conversation a year ago or a year and a half ago that we weren't going to see them above 4. So then there's that. That simple little fact.
We've had a few conversations about
We've had a few conversations about that. But look, as long as the basic economics of we didn't build enough houses, we've got this lock-in effect, which is a new thing. I had a conversation with the good Dr. Lisa Sterevant about that. This is a new calculus into the way you look at things, and people are staying more in their homes. That's just a trifecta of inventory not changing. Salaries are going up. People are moving into our area. The question becomes where is the first-time home buyer going to go? And we've been having this conversation until we were, and we're going to be having it a long time. It's just.
Ray Cadell's got something poignant.
Yeah, Ray
we should get Ray on the show.
Yeah.
He shines.
He shines and he plays one mean sax, that's for sure.
Ray Cadell says this. This is my 40th year in real estate.
He wins.
He says it's clearly an awkward time in real estate, and it's been the most awkward time in real estate for him in 40 years.
Yeah.
He says, in all candor, it's very helpful for me and my family that I have Big Ray and the Cool Cats as one heck of a second job. He says, I wonder if when the next due cycle hits, what kind of attrition we might see locally and nationally with realtors. Ray Cadell, I appreciate that straightforwardness.
Yeah. Well, I take a look at it a little bit differently. Agents like Ray are pros, will know how to adapt. United States Marine Corps, adapt and overcome. Will adapt, overcome, will always do well in it. But we're on track. There was an article written in the Wall Street Journal. I don't believe this number, but who the hell knows? They're saying look out for 80% attrition rate within our ranks. I think that's a bit bombastic.
80%.
Yeah, that's a bit bombastic. I think, and I went on record. I think before the decoupling conversation started in earnest in the public view, right? That conversation's been going on for a while. And I'm referring to the decoupling of commissions, right? We've been on track to probably lose between 30 to 40% by this time next year. It's because they're just to Ray's point. They're not. The average real estate agent makes like 30, 40 grand. That doesn't make a lot of money. So if the average real estate agent isn't able,
and that's gross.
That's gross too.
Yeah, that's not take home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's important to emphasize to the viewers and listeners.
Yeah.
The average real estate's making gross
Yeah.
before taxes,
And their expenses.
before expenses,
Expenses.
before gas mileage,
Yeah, but that's
before
after.
dues.
But that's after they're split, right?
Well, yeah,
Right. So,
but
this is
everyone
gro-
has a split.
Everybody has a split, so
No.
that's their gross in their.
So I mean, if you're talking net, the average agent's in the,
Sure.
we're talking in the 20s,
And look, this is.
making 20s.
I think we're probably going to be closer to 40, 50%. I don't think 80% is realistic. I can see where he comes up with that number, right? Because, supposedly it went from 20% of the real estate agents did 100% of the, the lion's share of the deals. Then it went to 10, depending on how you talk to. People think it's 5% now. So the pool is getting a little bit smaller. It's not, we've talked about this before. In 2 days or 3 days, your car dues are due, your National Association of Realtors dues are due. We'll really know by the next 30 days how many people are staying in and how many people are getting.
Car has
Getting
roughly
up.
how many agents?
Well, I don't know what it has now, but the last number I looked at is roughly 1,000, 1,100. It's total. The total membership's probably closer to 1,400. But you have folks like appraisers like Woody and so forth and so on that are members of it. So we'll just call it 1,000 for simple math. I think that number is going to be somewhere in the probably not. We're probably going to lose somewhere between 300 to 400.
So you think we're going to have 600 agents?
I think between 6 and 8. Well, by the way, if you go take a look at 2008, 2009, 2010, that's about the number we had. So you'll start doing that. But it's interesting. This is when, I've said this before, this is when the pros show up, right? You've got to really know how to do this job. We've been talking for the last couple of days about the quote-unquote decoupling and the class action lawsuit.
Those questions continue to come on the feed.
I'm sure it does. And that this
I
is.
wasn't going to really mention
I wasn't really going to
because
mention
we
it.
have covered it, but
We have covered it.
I have a feeling it's going to
Well, it's like anything.
it's going to
It's like-
uptick even more.
It's like anything. People don't know what's going to happen, so therefore it's fearful, right? But look, at the end of the day, if you just do your buyer-broker agreement, what's going to happen. I had a long conversation with a couple of real estate attorneys, to include Bill Tucker, one of our fine sponsors here, that it's really going to end up on the lenders, but things really aren't going to change that much. What's going to change is the transparency, and what's going to change. And if you've been doing, like a guy like Ray, which I know he does this because I've seen him do it, he explains to his buyer and sellers how he gets paid and what his worth is, and he'll do fine. It'll weed out some of the folks that, and I got myself into trouble a little bit saying this stuff a couple of days ago. So
By whom?
Yeah, certain folks in my industry, but the reality of it is we will be less agents in the market. There will be less real estate agents in the market this time.
What do you think, Ray Cadell?
And I think the ones that are going to be left over are going to do freaking awesome.
Well,
'Cause they can do their job.
I think that's called what's that called? Culling the herd.
Well, I have to be careful with that. I might get cold out myself.
I
But-
think that's called culling the herd.
Yeah. Look, so but we go through. Ray's been here for 40 years. I've been here for 35 plus years.
Also, Ray Cadell, Bill McChesney says, plays the trumpet.
Trumpet. What did I say?
He said sax.
Oh, sorry about that. Trumpet.
And plays
He
a damn good trumpet.
He plays a damn good trumpet. My mistake, gentlemen.
James Watson, any thoughts on using adjustable rate mortgages as an alternative to purchase a home during this time of slightly higher rates?
So it depends on the buyer. So we're talking about ARMs, right? We're back into ARMs. It depends on where you're at and what you're trying to do and what your goals are on it. The trick to them is to be aware of the risk that you take, that if Smith is wrong and interest rates continue to go to the 1980s version of interest rates, after a couple of years, you get slammed. That's what happened in 08, 09. They did these 1 year, 2 year ARMs and rates jumped.
Here's the gamble. This is what my boy Keith is basically saying. If you do the adjustable rate mortgage,
It's good now.
you are making a bet. you're making a bet against the future.
Yeah.
And one thing I've learned from this show is no one can see into the future.
That's what I'll do.
And you're basically betting that rates will come down of what you locked in an adjustable rate scenario today. And if rates don't go down, then you're going to be in a more expensive rate environment down the road, and you risk having a larger payment, which could lead to stress in your home financially.
Is a mortgage officer watching, by any
Oh,
chance?
yes, we have a few.
So it would be a great question for them. What is right now, what we're standing right now, what is like a 5-year ARM or whatever? What's the rate for a 5-year ARM versus a 30-year mortgage? I don't think the delta between the two is that large, right? So, back in the day, it was a couple of points, a point and a half. There was a wide enough delta that the monthly payment made a difference, right? So if the monthly payment doesn't make a difference and you have this basic ticking time bomb that could potentially blow up on you, we've talked about this a long time ago. What's the best damn way to hedge against inflation?
Lock in your overhead.
Lock in a 30-year fixed. You can always
refi.
It'll cost you money, but you can always refi it down. I can tell you right now, if you're in a fiscal position to buy, you could not pick a better time to buy right now. And I really mean that. I'm not being dramatic about it. You really, but
I mean, the delta is so minuscule.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the.
It's not even a point, right?
It's way less than a point.
Yeah. So why would one do that, right? What's the benefit? The benefit of doing that, right? And assumable mortgages is something we can always talk about, but they're only applicable to VA deals at the moment.
I'm starting to see the assumable mortgage marketed in the MLS.
But if you take a dive into them, these are VA products. They're not HUD-backed products. They're not federally backed products. Now, the Fed regulators could go ahead and start maybe changing that and start to look at that, and that might be a path to kind of loosen some inventory up, right? So that there could be quote unquote assumable mortgages, but that's a complicated transaction.
Ray Cadell says, and Ray's a broker, right?
Ray's a broker, yeah, and he plays trumpet.
Ray's a broker, so Ray is the boss of his firm.
He'd be the boss.
He is the head honcho of his firm.
He'd be the boss.
He says less dabblers in real estate and in the realtor space is not a bad thing for any of us.
No.
I have monikered them hobbyist agents. The hobbyist agent is one that's maybe intrigued by seeing pretty homes. Maybe does 1 deal, 2 deals a year. He says, also Ray Cadell, he's got 40 years of experience in this space, Ray Cadell. He says, including the consumer, having less dabblers, AKA hobbyist agents, could be the best thing for the consumers out there, for the folks they're representing.
So thank you, Ray, for doing that and opening up the door for me. So this is, whoever's listened to this show, we've done shows before, we even got slides for this, right? We got 6 things that are in the real estate market, right? It's location. Location always matters. Micro locations always matter.
Location.
Price always matter. Got to price it right. Got to be in the right location. Got to price it right. Got to have the right features. Got to be in the right condition. And timing is everything. And number 6 is what Ray's talking about. Who's on the other side matters. Now, I will tell you, we very rarely, I won't want to get into too much details, Yon and I can literally count on one hand that deals in years and years and years, literally, it rarely happens. Deals go from under contract to not under contract. Very rarely that happens. Just had one happen to us. And it was because of number 6. The other side matters. And Jerry's going to go, geez, Keith, why?
Geez, Keith, why is that?
Why is that? Because this was
Unfortunately, I know the answer. But
it was an out-of-state agent. Oof. It was an agent from Northern Virginia that came
Is
down.
Northern Virginia out of state?
To me, it is. Out of the area. Look at this. I can't even figure out what the hell what horn Ray used.
It was an out-of-market agent.
It was an out-of-market agent. It was a Northern Virginia agent. actually might have been out of state. I think they were from Maryland, so it might have been out of state. But it was a Northern Virginia agent. Came down here, never met their client, never developed a relationship with their client. It was a freaking online client that met at our house, fell in love with it, put a contract in it. Yona's really, really, really good at her job, starting asking all the questions about, tell me about your buyer, yada, 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 yada. And we may have been misled about that because I don't think we would have had our seller move forward. Within 24 hours, they got cold feet and went back on the market. They withdrew the contract. So now we have, my suspicion has happened is they found something else in another market and went and bought it. But I don't know that for a fact. But we've got out-of-market agents in our marketplace, that don't know our market. I know Ray well enough to say this. If he has a buyer that's going to buy in Old Town Alexandria, he picks up the phone and refers it out to a person he knows that is an expert in that market. Keith and Yona will do that. But now we have buyers agents coming into our marketplace. They're actually doing listings too in our marketplace because they can.
Yeah, right.
But I happen to think, and I'm going to get myself in all kinds of trouble here, I happen to think that's a violation of our ethics code. But that's just me saying
because they're not experts in the market.
They are not. They are not. Now they could be. I may be wrong, but this agent sure as hell wasn't. Can assure you that. Anyway, you got me started. I'll get off my soapbox on that one.
This is a good question. If rates drop in the first quarter, what does Keith think is going to happen? Bill McChesney says that might as well be a different state in Northern Virginia.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, Nova always gets the shade on the talk show.
Bill, thank you for loving me, keeping me on track here. The first thing is they're not, so they're not going to drop in the first quarter.
I think we need to really drive that home, guys. The rates are going to remain sticky for longer than perhaps was initially anticipated.
I wouldn't be surprised. Let me answer the question a different way. Regardless of when they go down, because they will go down, right? What goes up comes down. And it's historically, it's going to happen. I'll tell you, when it starts creeping down, there are so many people that we talk to that are just sitting on the sidelines, and we're having conversations. I cannot be any clearer. If you want to sell your home or buy your home, this is like literally the best time to do it. You cannot get any better than this. The inventory is minuscule, right? The people are sitting tight waiting for something to happen, right? That may or may not happen or may not happen at some point. Oh, my God. If you were waiting in the second quarter of and I didn't do the math difference, but the second quarter of Charlottesville, average you were paying $597. You're now paying $722. Somebody who's smarter than me can figure out what that math difference is. But I could just look at the bar chart and know it's way higher to that. So you just spending more money. Now's the time to buy if you can do it. If you can put some cash down, which is a good thing to do, right? And that's the other thing you're looking at. You're not seeing a lot of these 5%, 7% down. You're starting to see down payments creep up a little bit. We just did a first-time home buyer with a 5 in it that, frankly, they're bringing 60% cash to the table.
Dang.
Yeah, because they want their monthly payment at this. They've got the cash. They're millennials. They've saved them for years, right?
It's a nice little savings, $300K plus.
Yeah, well, they do well for themselves in their professions.
There you go.
Right, and they were able to do that.
Very nicely done. I would imagine that deal's heading to closing.
I hate talking about this crap because
you don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, Yona's in a plane, so I'm okay.
Yeah, she's not texting you right now. Stop talking about this. It hasn't closed yet.
Yeah. But as not that I'm superstitious, but you never want to throw. This is there's enough stuff that happens in a transaction, and I'm working on Yvonne coming in because I want her.
Try to encourage her as well.
I want her.
And Ray says he agrees with you. That's clearly a violation for Northern Virginia agents to try to be experts down here.
for me to stutter takes a lot. Why that isn't enforced is beyond me. And how the hell do you even enforce it? But you're going to get me to go down a whole another. I'm going to get myself to go down a whole.
Steven says
rabbit
this: if he puts the over under at 500, does Keith take the over or under on agents left in car?
hole. Who are we betting? Who am I betting with?
Steven's asked you to do a hypothetical.
Hypothetical.
Prop bet, if you may.
Yeah. Am I betting or am I? We're hypothetical. Yeah.
Yeah, hypothetical.
Over under 500 this time next year. It'll be over 500.
Over 500?
Yeah, it'll be over 500.
Over 600?
I think it'll be over 600. I think a lot of people are betting that this pendulum, this inventory pendulum, or this a number of units that I can either help people buy and sell pendulum starts swinging in the favor of more. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. I think this inevitable O shift that's going to be 40-year O shift that's going to happen in our business is going to get a lot of people out, probably the folks that are closer to retirement age, because you're going to have to change the way you do business. You're going to have that. If you don't do this already, which I'm sure, you're going to have your buyer-broker agreement done, finished, and locked in and figured out how you pay. And you're going to have to do a buyer presentation just like you do a listing presentation. We do this already, but you do a buyer presentation just like you would walk into your house and here's my listing presentation, here's my buyer presentation on it. This is what I do, this is how I get paid, this is what I'm worth. How everybody gets paid eventually is going to get figured out. There's paths there that it could happen. But I think all of that is going to have a huge impact on it. I called this 2 years ago at a car board meeting.
You called it on the show?
Yeah.
We have the video evidence that you called this. The follow-up question, is the era of big brokerages with many agents now over?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I only know what I've seen.
Okay.
So when I was speaking at the CEO conferences which had the CEOs of all the major brokerages, some of them have settled this lawsuit, some have not. The topic of that CEO conference before the settlements happened for RE/MAX and Anywhere on it was M&As.
Mergers and acquisitions?
Mergers and acquisitions.
Okay.
So I think you're going to see the bigger ones get bigger. And then there's going to be I think there's going to be two types of brokerages left over when this is done. Maybe 100% wrong. This is, if I had a crystal ball,
the boutique and the massive.
I believe that's what's going to happen. And I think the middle ones are going to get bought out by the massive ones because, you're in order. Look, I know this fact. People are not going to believe this. 95 to 97% of all the brokerages in the United States don't make money. They don't make money. Splits are very high. They just don't make money on it. The agents do well, but the brokerages themselves, and how do you offset that? Volume. So
throws a big net out there and tries to do as many transactions as possible.
You want to have as large amount as
there's other ways that you can offset that too.
There's other ways you can offset.
Educational infrastructure provided at a fee is one example.
So that's how the smaller...
That's a profit center.
That's how the boutique brokerages, which we are going to do that. We're offering education, one-on-one coaching and mentoring to help folks get from wherever they are to wherever they want to be, right? But the bigger, just from a brokerage level, I may be wrong. I think you're going to see the smaller brokerages like, Ray and what we are and all these little, very niche boutique brokerages going to do very, very well because we're going to be so laser focused on our client and our client, which is our agents, our partners on it. And the larger ones are going to be more large. These are going to be street, Wall Street firms and some of them are privately owned, but Wall Street firms that are going to do it. And literally, I told you the story. I'll leave the names out, but I was in the bathroom, men's bathroom there, and there was two very large public companies negotiating over the buying of a potential local company here. So I said, I'll help you negotiate it for
10%.
No, I said 6%.
Oh?
We're all close. 6 eggs. I got told to leave.
And
I got told to leave.
I hope that was after you.
No, no. They said you're a bit creepy. Get out of here.
Is that deal going to go through?
No,
That deal's not going to go through?
I don't know. Who knows? I got kicked out of the bathroom, so we'll see how it goes.
This is an interesting question right here. Jonathan says, does that mean the importance for personal brands going to be even more important than ever for the agents?
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. Personal brand, but it's always mattered, right? But personal brand will matter. I think that the inner workings in that question is, and I'll leave big brokerages' names out because I don't want to get myself in trouble. But 20 years ago, it wasn't. I've talked about this numerously. It wasn't about me as an agent. It was about the brokerage, the big brokerage, right? That's where people got attracted to.
Now it's the agent.
Now it's the agent, but that's been that way for a very good number of years. Big brick and mortar firms are going to kind of either get bigger or go away. We'll see. Time will tell. But look, the market constantly shifts. The real estate agent market shifts. The market shifts. The only thing that never changes is Ray Cadell. Right.
40 years in business for Ray Cadell. Big Ray and the Cool Cats.
And plays one hell of a trumpet. I'll never make that mistake again, Ray.
Ray Cadell, you're a good man, and welcome anytime. What's the plan for Keith, the Bachelor, this weekend with Yona with the grandbabies?
Well, I'm working. I've got an open house on Sunday, and
What's the dinner plan for tonight?
That's a great question. I don't know.
Roger Voisinay, welcome to the show.
Hey, Roger. Don't know. Yeah, I might wander over to my favorite little watering hole. We'll see. I don't know. I'm gonna make a couple of texts. Anybody want to come up and play?
Please play with me.
Please play with me.
I'm lonely.
I'm lonely. And literally, that's probably what's gonna happen. Buy drinks.
Please play with me.
Please play with me. So we're gonna wrap up a little early today. Look at that.
A little early. It's 11:23.
Oh, is it 11:23? Shit.
Yeah, it's 11:23. It's not a little early.
So if you're in the market to go out and buy, there's 117 open houses. This is going to be a great weekend. Wander around. I'm going to be at the Acres. Come see me. Say hi to me. We'd love to talk to you. Show you a great home that is actually right next to where I live. So you'll figure out where Smith lives. And I think I already dropped that dime a couple
You have.
times,
You have
times
dropped
ago.
that dime.
But there's 110 houses out there. There's a good time to buy if you can afford to buy. There's some product out there to buy. There's a ton of new construction because I'm looking at it. That's what it is. Got to tell you, if you can afford it, new construction folks are doing. I'll do this last little plug. If you in the market to buy right now and you're able to do it and you can afford the price points, new construction is the way to do it. Because right now there's got product out. This is the ones we're looking at. There's product out to buy attached. They're offering all kinds of discounts. They're offering buy downs on their interest rates. That is a literally ticking time bomb. As soon as they go through whatever inventory they've got,
That's not going to be offered again.
that is gone.
Yeah.
So if you are in the position to buy, there's nothing better to buy. And if you can, if you're at that point, buy new construction now. Even if it's your first home, it's a townhome, you're getting ready to move on. Later on to either retain it as a rental or sell it or whatever you want to do with it. But now's the time to do it. You will never see these type of deals out there
In a long, long time.
in a long time, because I think it's already happened. New construction is ticking up pretty fast. I think this is about a 2 to 4 week window.
How can people contact you, Keith Smith?
Smoke signals.
Morse code.
Let's go. Yeah. Groks.
What's your preferred contact?
Text me. Call
Text.
me, whatever. I like to talk to people. I'm not a big fan of email.
Text,
call me,
call.
text me, call me. Just don't call
He
me.
loves to help.
Don't call me late for dinner. I'm telling you, if you're in the market right now and you can afford it, new construction's the path. It's going to go away. I predict between 2 to 4 weeks. You won't. So when we start hitting the end of December and they're all trying to motivate existing homes and close by the end of the year. That's why I'm confident the next 2-4 weeks they're going to eat through their inventory and then they're going to shut that cookie jar down. So now's time to do it, folks.
Keith Smith, Judah Wickower, Real Talk with Keith Smith. Show archived online on realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. The distinguished gentleman.
Big coffee.
Big Coffee. You crushed it today. He always crushes it. realtalkwithkeithsmith.com is the website.
And on Monday,
I'm down to do it if you are.
yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, but I heard.
Batman and Robin will be here on Monday. That means Alfred will be here.
I've heard that there may be some folks in spandex on Monday.
Batman and Robin on Monday. Prepare yourself.
Prepare yourself.
Warn your children. Warn your children.
Yeah, hide them from your device. I was going to say TV, but who the hell watches TV?
No one watches TV
Who
anymore.
the hell watches
No
TV?
one watches TV anymore. Warn your children, ladies and gentlemen. This show was a lot of fun. It's always fun to sit across from my friend.
What are you doing this weekend?
Oh man, we have so many plans. We have.
Like any little kid trick or treat stuff?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's going to happen this evening.
Good for you.
There's 3 different trick or treating we're doing today. One's a truck or treat this evening.
Oh yeah, cool.
We're going to a vineyard that has a scavenger hunt, a Halloween-themed scavenger hunt for kids. Also allows adults to have some beverages.
There you go. It's always good.
We have a birthday party around putt-putt. I'm going to get some squash in. We have a lunch plans on Sunday. They're all. I mean, there's no
So
relaxing.
you're like this Halloween thing is going from like today to Tuesday.
Halloween is now in 2023 like a 4-day ordeal. When I was growing up, it was 1 day. Now
Yeah.
it's 3 to 4 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an ordeal.
Imagine
in fact, the calendar is booked solid through the first week of January. Fortunately, we're going to scoot away to the beach up north at the
Good for you, man.
couple times, which we're excited
Good
about.
for you.
Judah Wickower, Keith Smith, Real Talk with Keith Smith. Thank you for joining us. The I Love Seville show is up at 12:30 p.m. Thank you for joining us. Take care.
Thanks, everybody. Go out and look at one of those open houses.
Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Very good job. Judah, good job for you as well.